G'day. It's MP Numbers here, and today I wanted to have a quick chat about my first thoughts about Amonkhet, the set. I wanted to wait till today because today is when the official previews have launched, as well as this fantastic trailer. I wanted to give an idea, being that I am mostly limited player, just on my thoughts of the mechanics more than the specific cards, and some questions I have looking forward, and some premonitions maybe, and what I think of the set so far. First of all, this trailer is pretty awesome. Probably the best Magic trailer I've seen so far. I love the fact that they have combined the Egyptian style with this ever-present Bolus link. At least in every artwork that I've seen so far, Bolus is present, and Egyptian and zombie snakes are really cool. Couple of premonitions I have. There is this constant chanting in the background. I do recommend checking this video if you haven't. But sorry, just to turn it up here.
One from many, by force of will, forged by might, driven by fire, born by death.
There's
Rise eternal.
There's a lot of chat on the internet about what that actually means, at least in my groups. And my personal premonition is that I think it means, because obviously all those statements relate to a colour, and I think what it's trying to say is that Bolus is going to be a 5-colour Planeswalker this time, which would be cool. Happy to be proven wrong. My other big premonition for the set is that 100% Damnation is being printed either in this or in Hour of Devastation, or whatever it is, because it just makes sense. Okay, back in Modern Masters, and it's a card that we've wanted reprints for, and it makes sense. Hour of Devastation. How else are you going to have a Hour of Devastation besides Damnationing? But anyway, looking at the cards. So to start with, one of the mechanics that's probably not going to make much of an impact on our limited environment is the God Cycle. Hazoret was revealed today in Mark Rosewater's article, and there's a big, again, good article. You should definitely check it out at wizards.magic.com or magic.wizards.com, whatever it is, where he talks about why they've done it this way, where they've tried to make it structurally different from the Theros gods, and yeah. First thing I noticed, obviously, is that it's mythic rare. So as I said, we're not going to see them much in limited. You might see them once every couple of drafts. You might open something sealed pool if you're lucky, and there's a pretty good chance if they're all as good as this one, you're probably just going to take it. First thing you notice, because they're gods, the power toughness level is higher than what you'd expect for this mana cost. They're all indestructible from what I understand, and being that Hazoret has haste, I'm imagining they're all going to have an on-colour keyword, so white vigilance being white, blue being flying, green being trample, etc. They've all got a static ability, which obviously in this case you can't attack, so it's a nice little lupine prototype, and it has a activated ability that links to that static ability. So you're discarding cards to obviously get you down so you can attack with as a 5/4. Card seems solid. You're going to take it. You're going to play with it. You're going to win. But yeah, not going to see them much in limited. How they're going constructed, don't know. Don't particularly care. Moving on, so the two of the more prevalent abilities, looking at some that do interact with the graveyard. So the big one being Embalm. We've seen a couple of cards with Embalm, and personally, I do love this. In a limited deck, what we want is creatures that we can play to start building our board up that will also have an effect once they're dead, once the game's moved on, that you can spend your mana on without being neglected, and being able to exile from the graveyard to cast your creature again, basically flashing back your creature, is fantastic. So being able to play this for 2, maybe gain a little, like this one specifically, obviously not great, you gain a little bit of life, maybe get some damage in and stop a big attack, and then you bring it back later when you've got nothing else to do, you spend your 4 mana and you get another dude. It's the mechanic itself is great. I think all the ones I've seen are good. There's the 3/2 for 3 that has Embalm 5, so again, playing at turn 3, you're happy getting a token on turn 5 when your hand's running, you're running out of cards in hand, and you want to still be able to make an impact on the board for your turn and make sure you use your mana. I think it's going to be probably the better mechanic and the more regular mechanic for these. I believe it's a white-black ability. The other one, and one of the big reveals today, was Aftermath. The big thing for me with this card being revealed was to show that this card was not a fake. This one went around the internet for the last couple of weeks. Obviously not great quality because it's a physical photo. But there was a lot of talk about whether it's real, whether it's fake, and it has been confirmed to be real. There are some implications new rules about converted mana cost, which I'm pretty sure are not going to come up in a normal limited environment, might affect if you're cubing and you play your Fire and Ice and your Icecon Scepter, because it's not going to work anymore. But as the card implies, you've got the first ability and the second ability, which you can play from the graveyard. Card seems fine. This one, again, the fact that you'd be able to spend your mana affecting the game, affecting the board, potentially, when you don't have the cards in hand, getting a second crack at using this card, it's really good in a limited environment. This one specifically, again, I'm not overly excited by this black-green card, but I could see it being played in decks. Moving forward, the next one, obviously, the next new ability would be Exert. So far we've seen a couple of creatures that when they attack, you exert them, they do whatever, and they don't untap during the next turn. Obviously an aggressive style ability, but again, being an aggressive player, I do like it. Obviously it doesn't have the same kind of versatility as our other two abilities that we just looked at, but I like being able to attack and getting a little bit bonus when I want to use it. My question around Exert is that whether there'll be any cards that you can exert when you're not attacking, or if it's an attacking only option, which fine either way, just a general curiosity about how it generally works. Obviously there is the neat little trick, if you can untap or if you can give Vigilance, it actually doesn't hurt at all because they're not tapped, doesn't untap, who cares. Obviously it seems to be red ability, the two cards I've seen are this guy and the Big Dragon. I think it's a game day promo. Red being my colour, I'm pretty happy with his ability. Moving forward to the last keyword, but second last thing I'm going to talk about today is cycling. Obviously cycling's back. Any long-term players, this has been around for a while. Discard a card, pay 2, discard a card, draw a card. This card has when you cycle it, you may gain 2 life, and we've seen a couple of other cards that also have when you cycle or when you discard abilities, because the set is a graveyard set and it all makes sense. So hopefully there'll be some good synergies at the common and uncommon levels for us to draft around cycling, because it would be fun. I've always been a fan of cycling cards, especially when you get something more out of it. For our newer players who didn't experience cycling back in its original form, there have been some pretty broken cards and decks. For example, Astral Slide is the first one that comes to mind when everyone talks about it. The things you could do with this card, there was some pretty cool combos with this, Eternal Witness, and I can't remember exactly what the card was, but I think it was when you cycle it deals damage, and it would just basically made an infinite combo, and there was a lot of cool things you could do with Astral Slide. So obviously we've seen those, like there's the guy that gets +1 when you discard a card, but I'm curious to see if there's any Astral Slide type cards. But again, cycling good, happy to have it in the set. Obviously some will be better than others, but it gives you options. It's kind of like Morph, where most cycling cards are just 2 generic mana, obviously not all of them. And you're going to get some value when you might not be able to play the card otherwise. The final thing that was spoiled today that is worth talking about is the Cartouche cards and the trial cards. Again, when we look at limited, we can't specifically look at neat combos like this. That they are going to come up, but you can't. You're never going to take an early trial to knowing you're going to get a Cartouche. You're always hoping, depending on how good each cartouche is. What I'm expecting here is a cycle for each colour for each card, and again, as with everything, they're going to do something around their colour identity. And to be honest, probably the best early premonitions that the best comparison would be to the recent Oath cards, where they come into play, they do a sorcery-like effect, like the Trial of Knowledge here, and then obviously if you find the cartouches, you get to bring them back. The question about whether they'll be playable without, so for example, can you play a trial without a cartouche? I would imagine yes, but we have to wait till we have the full set to see exactly what they all do. I mean, 4 mana to draw 3 cards and discard a card seems fine to me, not as someone who doesn't play blue regularly and doesn't tend to live in that blue world. And then the cartouches obviously being auras, at least the white one being an aura, and I imagine the rest would be an aura. Would be auras. They do have that limited downside where you open yourself to being 2 for 1. But that's probably fine. I think they'll be playable, but not great. So other than that, that is my thoughts on Amonkhet so far. I just want to do a quick video. Obviously, there's a lot going around, a lot coming up, and we've just started the official spoiler season now. Personally, really loving the set. I've always been a massive fan of Egyptian, like going back to my school days. Loved Egyptian history and tried to study it, but never really did. Obviously, keep up on the Magic the Gathering website. Check all your spoiler sites. Personally, I use MTG Salvation. It seems to be the best. I do like it more than Mythic Spoiler, but that is an option as well. And if I see anything crazy come out, I will definitely make more videos. Happy to review cards. I'm happy to discuss any of my thoughts. If you'd like to leave any comments, hit me up on Twitter. Obviously, I'm on Twitch a couple times a week, and I do have Facebook and all that kind of fun stuff. But thanks for watching my video. Thanks for hanging out, and have a great day.